welcome to Lady Does Logan movie summary and review. So, I am here at a different movie theater this time. This one's inside of a mall, and I am gonna go see Logan. And the reason that I'm at a different movie theater is because I got a really cheap ticket from T-Mobile Tuesday, and that is a loyalty rewards program for being a T-Mobile customer. And, you know, it was good for a week, a $4 movie ticket. And today's the last day to do it because it's Monday, so I'm gonna go watch Logan. But yeah, I am super excited to be watching this movie. I even kind of tried to dress up for the part. It's just a white t-shirt and a heavy jacket, but yeah. It's gonna be Hugh Jackman's last go at being Wolverine, and you know, the Logan trailer reaction is literally my most viewed video on my channel, so you guys kind of asked for this, so here I am. But yeah, okay, so I am now at the entrance and I am about to go in to go watch the movie, and I'll talk to you guys when I come out, so talk to you in a bit. Well, that just ended. I mean, yeah. I felt so lame crying in the movie theater. The guy next to me was just looking at me like, for real, girl? But yeah, no. I knew it was Hugh Jackman's last time, but fuck, what a way to go, man. Alright. Well, everyone's staring at me, so I will continue this in my room and talk more about it there. But I'm so sad. Alright. Just got back from the movie theater after seeing Logan, and that was amazing! Like, that was such a good way to send off Hugh Jackman. Oh, but before I get started on my review, I want to give you guys a quick summary for those of you that haven't seen the movie, so you know what the hell I'm talking about. But I got a few warnings for you first. So first of all, since it's a summary, there's going to be spoilers in it if you haven't seen it yet. And second of all, I am really bad at summarizing things. Like, really bad at summarizing things. But hey, if you guys want to see me try, yeah, here I am. So, yeah. Anyway, the movie gets started in Texas, and it's like those cholos are ruining a car, trying to take someone's rims, and then we find out that it's actually Logan's car. And Logan tries to nicely tell them to stop, but one of them just fucking shoots him. So, you know, Logan tries not to fight, not really, and then they start beating the shit out of him. And since he's kind of old, it's really hard for him to fight back. So, eventually the claws come out. Well, two of them, because one of them is still stuck inside of his skin since he's so old and he's really weak. So yeah, he's not healing very well, and pretty much, you know, he doesn't really try to hurt them, but one of them shoots his car and he just goes completely berserk, you know, fucking killing a whole bunch of them, and then 3 of them get away and that's it. But anyway, he recovers, he kind of scuffs himself off and goes inside of his car and drives away. And then later, we find out that he's actually just a chauffeur, and he's been driving people around just for proms or whatever. And then he takes some lady to a funeral, and while he's waiting for the client to come back, some woman named Gabriella goes up and asks Logan for his help. And he's pretty much just like, yeah, no. And then like walks away and completely ignores her. But Gabriella keeps asking him that she really needs help taking her and her daughter across the border. And there are bad men looking for her, and she doesn't really know anyone except for him that can help her. But he refuses and then just like runs off and drives away with his client. And then later, after he's done with all his rounds for the day, we see him go to meet someone, and then to like hustle for drugs. And he just goes away with the bag. And then as he comes back to his car, he's approached by Donald, whose last name I forgot. But anyway, he's the leader of the Reavers. And he pretty much approaches Logan and tells him that if he is approached by a woman named Gabriella, or if he knows anything about a young girl, to get in contact with him and then to essentially, tell him where they are so that he can take the girl. But, yeah, Logan's just like, I don't want to be involved in any of that. And then he just tells him to get out of his car. And then he drives away, and we see that he goes past the border into Mexico. And actually, he has his own, what would that be called? Farm location inside of Mexico, just a desolated area where Caliban is taking care of Professor X. And it's his way of hiding Professor X from the government, I suppose. But pretty much we find out that the drugs that he was getting from the guy are actually seizure suppressant pills that Professor X has to take. Professor X has to take, or else he'll totally destroy everything. And then we find out that Caliban has actually been there for an entire year just taking care of Professor X just because Logan helped him. Logan asked him to help. And yeah, Caliban doesn't like being in Mexico and he just wants to leave, but he has to take care of Professor X and he just does it because he said yes to Logan for some reason, because he's a nice person now. But yeah, so Logan goes to meet up with Professor X and he's super loony and he has Alzheimer's or something and he doesn't remember things very well. And then he starts to have a seizure, which essentially freezes everyone except for Logan and causes them not to breathe. So we see Caliban just freaking out. But yeah, Logan gives him a shot that's a suppressant, and then Professor X is okay again. And pretty much he has to take his pills regularly and get shots when that happens, or everything will go incredibly wrong. But pretty much, yeah. The next day he gets, what are those called? Page or something? He gets a job request for 2 people in a motel, and then he finds out that it's Gabriella that's calling him to take her and Laura across the border. And he still says no, and then he goes back to Mexico. But then he says yes. And then he goes to them. Pretty much, he ends up reluctantly taking the job, but when he goes to pick them up, he finds out that Gabriella has actually been murdered by Donald, and that Laura has escaped. She wasn't there. But as he's driving back to Mexico to go meet up with Caliban and Professor X, and he's just like, yeah, fuck all that, I'm done with that, he finds out that Laura has stowed away in the back of his truck. And that pretty much all the Reavers are coming to retrieve her. And it turns into a standoff situation where she's able to defend herself. But in the end, they take Caliban. And Logan, Professor X, and Laura all get away. And as they're driving down the freeway, they encounter this farming family that lets them stay for the night. And yeah, whenever someone's on the run and they encounter some nice people, shit's gonna go down. So they all end up dying by this experiment that Transigen had created called X-24. And he looks a lot like Logan, and he's made with Logan's DNA. And yeah, he's a super killer. So he kills the entire family, and he kills Professor X by fucking stabbing him in the chest. And then he severely injures Logan. Logan can't really heal because of his healing factor, but him and Laura are able to get away. So then, that's right. Okay, so this whole time, Laura has been talking about going to Canada, and that her and the other friends that she had from the facility Transigen that they were born in, who also have mutant powers, they were bred in there, are all going to meet up in Canada. So she keeps insisting that Logan take her to Canada, and her and Logan end up going, but he's so hurt from the battle that he pretty much passes out, and Laura drives them there. And then they meet up with the other kids, who all seem to be doing really well. And this whole time, Logan was thinking that Eden, the place that Laura wants to go to, is completely made up because she has comic books with her that describe the exact coordinates inside of the book where they're going to meet up in real life. But then Logan ends up being wrong because all the kids are there and there actually is a little camp there. So Logan is so severely injured, the kids take care of him for almost 3 days in a bed. And then they all have to leave because they have to meet up with the other groups of children in the rendezvous point, which is in Canada. So, yeah, they all go and leave Logan there. But Logan has a heavy conscience about leaving Laura, so he starts to go into the woods and hears that actually the Reavers have caught up to them and that all the children are screaming, and he goes to help them. And he's still super injured and he's still really old because it turns out that the adamantium that's inside of his bones is poisoning him. But he was given a vial of some green goop, which is, I'm assuming, mutant enhancer. But yeah, it enhances his healing factor. He takes that shit all at once and helps the kids out and beats the shit out of the Reavers. The only problem is X-24 is all healed again and he starts to fight Logan. But Laura is able to kill X-24 with an adamantium bullet, but Logan is also severely injured. Yeah, that was bad. He, fucking got a tree branch, the entire thing, pushed through his chest. It was super gross. But anyway, Logan dies! And Laura buries him. Laura and the other children bury him. And she gives this whole speech about needing to accept one's destiny from a movie that Charles was showing her when they were on the run. And yeah, then all the kids just go on their merry way. I was expecting new X-Men or something. They didn't slip that into the movie, but yeah, that is what happened. I hope I didn't forget anything important. Alright, so yeah, that was my summary of the movie, but, here are some thoughts I had. So, Caliban, he didn't want to be involved in all of this. The way he described it, it seemed like Logan just asked him for help one day with something, and Caliban said yes, just to, try to help Logan. And then next thing he knows, he's in Mexico for an entire fucking year, taking care of Charles, who is, seizing out and, being super loony and rude to Caliban, who is literally just trying to help him out. So, man, poor Caliban. I mean, later in the movie, he gets captured by the Reavers, who burn him with sunlight because he's albino, and then torture him into helping them track down Laura and Logan. So, yeah, and then his last scene is him grabbing grenades and killing himself and taking down a few of the Reaver soldiers with him, and that is it. That is his entire story. He didn't want to be involved to begin with. He still didn't really want to be involved in the middle. And then it ended with him not doing much at the end. But yeah, I guess they needed some explanation as to how the Reavers kept finding Logan and Lara. I honestly wasn't expecting them to leave the children without some type of mentor person. So these are just, children who have abilities, who are trying to figure things out for the first time in their life, going outside of the lab, and their only mentor person was, I thought, supposed to be Logan. But in the end, there is no mutants left, and it's just them walking across the border into, I guess, what would be friendly territory, and maybe there's more people there that can help them out, but it's just kind of weird to think that all these kids survived by themselves and know so much about the outside world after they had made such a big plot point that they had never been outside before and they were all lab born. So it's like, how do they know their way around, and who is going to show them? But, they're smart kids. I'm sure they'll figure something out. They really took advantage of the fact that they now are allowed to have an R rating. And Professor X was cursing up a storm, and he was just hilarious and significantly different as to what we've seen before, but man, he pulled it off really well. So it was a really good way to end his role as Professor X. It's very memorable, and he did a very good job. Same for Hugh Jackman. I mean, Hugh Jackman's been Wolverine fucking forever, so yeah, now he's finally gonna get to rest and put his claws down, but his performance was amazing. And hell, even Laura, I mean, there were really good performances in this movie. I fell in love with Laura's character. She is so cute. Just the little quirks that she has and the random aggressiveness. It fits her very well, and the child actress really did a good job of selling it. So, acting was phenomenal. And CGI wasn't a total clusterfuck either. The only time it got a little weird was when at the end, all the children ganged up to kill Donald. And, so many of the children are using their powers all at once. It looks kind of weird. And I guess there's a lot of CGI for Hugh Jackman's face that I didn't even notice. So I can't even complain about that. But, yeah, that was probably the only part that was like, what? I keep saying Donald, but I never once mentioned the scientist / leader of Transigen. I just forgot that guy's name. But, I mean, they reveal him, or they introduce him as the big villain person. He is the main person. I mean, he wasn't really involved at all in the movie directly with Logan or anything. He just made X-24 and, he made all the children with powers, but if he's supposed to be the main baddie, isn't he supposed to be, I don't know, worse than his henchmen? And, his death was literally just Logan shooting him, and then he falls to the floor, and that is it. We don't even see him fall. It's just poof, and then he falls. But Donald, who had been the, villain character this entire movie, the entire time, he's constantly tracking them down. He's a bad guy. His death was all the kids killing him, and we watch him die. So, for me, I feel like Donald was the real villain, and the other guy was just some, for show. Yeah, they really made it seem like that, too, with Donald's death being so escalated and over the top. So, yeah, it's if you're gonna call this guy your main bad guy, have him be your main bad guy. Not one of the henchmen that we were introduced to at the beginning of the movie, but, so, yeah, that's all my thoughts I have for this movie, I believe. You should totally go watch it. But that's all I got for you for now. So thank you so much for liking and subscribing, and I'll see you next time. Bye! Hey everyone! Just caught this Mimikyu over here. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you like what you saw, you can subscribe to my channel by clicking that circle button up there. Or you can check out some more of my videos along here. I also have a Patreon set up that you can find by clicking that square button down there. See ya. Mimikyu, use Shadow Ball!